Bartenders of Reddit, what is the strangest conversation you've ever overheard because people assume sound doesn't travel over the bar? Even though we were busy, I clearly heard a woman say to her friend, "Hey look. The bartender's really cute." Friend: "No he's not." Response: "Oh yeah. You're right." I've bartended but my favorite conversation was overheard while I was on the other side of the bar. Work in a downtown hotel bar right across from our convention center. I've heard way too many negotiations between businessmen and escorts. Last one I heard involved the guy asking the lady how much extra she would charge to let his friend watch. She said it was $200 to watch. I bartended at a country club. And there was this one group of tennis ladies that would always sit at the bar and get absolutely shit-faced on weeknights at our wine nights. They took a liking to our main bartender and kept calling him exotic. He's Mexican. They would say how love his beard. Would talk about their fav, not tennis related, positions. How they kept their nether regions tidy. Slip him their numbers. How shitty their husbands were. Etc. Had a husband and wife who were by far the most rude people I've ever encountered. Talking with a traveling businessman. By the end of the night the businessman was propositioning the woman to go back to his hotel room for some money. The husband responded for $500. 00 you can let him have anal. I heard some chick say, and the worst part about it is that lucky bastard got a whole gram of crystal out it for free. On Valentine's Day this year, we had a guest who accepted a FaceTime from his girlfriend while his side chick was with him at the bar. He angled the phone so his girlfriend wouldn't see the girl. But it was so obvious. "Here's your drink. And one for your date on the house. Happy Valentine's Day. Edit. Thanks for the silver." Caveat: they knew I heard them as they were sitting at the bar and I was the bartender. 3 people come in together. 2 guys and a girl. The bar was set up with mirrors on 2 sides and a walkway between them. One of the fellows asked me why he couldn't see himself in the mirror when he was sitting directly in front of the walkway. I gave him one of those side-eyed glances. Thinking to myself, does he really want me to answer this question? He kept looking at me questioningly. So I finally told him, "There is no mirror there. That is a walkway." His friends burst out laughing and told me this guy was a med student at Duke. I walked away to get my laugh in. Randomly overheard 2 middle-aged women. As a woman ages, she can choose between her face or her asshole. I hated myself until I discovered masturbation. 2 businessmen having after-work drinks on a Friday, where the conversation built up to one of the sweetest sentiments I've heard. At first a usual "Lem tell ya. You're a good person. I love you man." Later on, still fairly basic. "FCK the wives. Hey. You and me. We buy motorcycles." To finally this gem. "If a tornado were to blow you away, I would fly after you. You won't come home with me because I have a stinky PSSY sob middle-aged woman on a first date at like 7 o'clock on a Wednesday. You think they have those straws for sucking drinks in your butt here? Whoa. Can't compete with that. Don't even really understand that." Guy: "I think I'm going to need a Coke chaser for this one." Girl: "Presumably so. We already did all the Coke." Guy: "Coca-Cola. You idiot. Not even the most memorable. Just the most recent. For sure. Real snapshot into their relationship." I keep asking him to shoot it on my face. It's good for my skin. But he refuses. He says he doesn't want to disrespect me. But I'm literally begging. I was washing glasses right in front of these 2 girls at my bar. It wasn't even like I was far away across the bar. These 3 middle-aged women, alone at the bar, discussing in excruciating detail their sexual fantasies, which seemed to include sucking off a younger man. I was 22 at the time. They obviously knew I could hear them, but it was so awkward. I stood there cutting the hell out of lemons and limes. A woman at a corporate event was explaining to 3 male co-workers how she loves the thrill attained from coke being snorted off her ass. Sounds like someone I could get behind. Was visiting my mom at work once. She tends bar and heard her making conversation across the bar with a patron. Suddenly, over the music, I hear the guy slam his fist onto the bar and yell "You are factually wrong." He immediately faceplanted on the bar, and his buddy had to carry him out of there. My mom was just commenting on the fact that the song that was playing was country. Once this older couple, 55-ish, were talking about their bedroom problems. The guy clearly had impotence issues and the lady kept complaining that she was feeling frustrated because he was frustrated. And Viagra wasn't really helping. Or at least not helping enough. Let's just say that other people around them weren't as comfortable as them about the conversation. I work at a wine bar. A couple is sitting there and the girl basically yells at the guy, "Stop staring at my calf." People are starting to think we're weird. I once listened to 3 people have an in-depth discussion about how they were going to kill the local vampire and the steps to take to protect themselves from the coven that said vampire is surely from. My favorite though, what a heated debate over whether the first Robin would be a crime fighter if Batman hadn't picked him up and trained him. Was at a bar with my friend and all we heard was "Yeah, he pissed me off so I ran him over." You've never had the STF get out of you by a guy like me. I once heard a guy tell his buddy, "It's fun. It's like laser tag but with real guns." That was 20 years ago and to this day kick myself for not getting the whole story. Almost certainly meant paintball or airsoft. Sorry to ruin it for you. 3 girls were talking about some guy one of them was hooking up with. Apparently the night before, she'd puked all over his dick. Still boned. Got all the details I never wanted. This guy was going through a divorce and his buddy was consoling him. He kept saying he'd never find someone as kinky as her. His buddy tried to tell him plenty of people are kinky. To which he replies, "You don't get it, dude." Had someone yell "RIP Olivia Newton-John" and I interjected that she wasn't dead. Big mistake. Drunk idiot got on one of those drunk loops about how I was wrong until we closed 20 minutes later. I even showed him on my phone that she wasn't dead and he said, "You can Google anything." Edit. For those speculating what my response was should have been, I just kept saying "You're allowed to be wrong," as he kept on about it until I locked the door. A customer is on the phone in the middle of the bar. Not too crowded but a long bar. Guy couldn't have been more than 25. I go to help someone at the end of the bar and on my way back I overhear, "No. I don't care. She's my sister. She is 13 and there is no reason she should be doing cocaine. At all." Gave him a few drinks on the house that night. Working a wedding. He was the uncle of the groom. Just got out of prison the week prior. Think he was in for 20 years or so. He was a pilot that smuggled cocaine for a Colombian cartel. Went by the name Big Daddy. Didn't believe him. Showed us a tattoo on his right shoulder that said Big Daddy. Followed by pics and a whole bunch of stories. No one knew he was invited. Let's just say he tipped very well. I worked in a bar in a truck stop and we got lots of solo men. Guy on bar stool says the government can track our every move. Now they are putting chips in newborns right at the hospital. The trucker next to him who he just met shakes his head and says, "Yeah. I know." Both were serious as could be and talked with each other about how the world is messed up. It was the second trucker's response that got me. Semicolon. These siblings, aged 50-60s, arguing over there, not even dead and in fact present at the table, mother's will and who gets what. It ended in a heated argument and the son speeding off. A woman was planning her dog's birthday party and was debating which dogs to invite since some of the dogs didn't get along with her dog. You can pick your dog and you can pick your friends, but you can't pick your dog's friends. One time I walked out to the patio to have a smoke break into 3 people all talking very drunkenly but also very seriously about theoretical physics. Edit. If anyone is worried it was them, it happened in Dayton. That sounds like the conversation I would listen into while also drunk. Thinking that I'm gonna remember all this amazing info in the morning and then remember nothing because I'm basically a human styrofoam plate. This bitch doesn't absorb tea. Edit. Just woke up, thanks for the gold, kind stranger. Glad I'm not the only styrofoam plate out there. I will tell you the strangest thing that's happened to me. I cut someone off because they were pissed. That person returned hours later while we were closing. I said, sorry mate, you're not getting a drink. I've already cut you off. Oh, is that right? Yeah, it is. Well then, and he proceeds to pull out a cooked fillet of chicken from his pocket and puts it on the bar and leaves without saying another word. Dumbfounded. Me and my mate carefully pick up the cooked chicken fillet. It was cold. So this lunatic has gone home and cooked a chicken fillet, then put it into his fridge on the intention of later placing it onto our bar top as some sort of horse head in the bed kind of revenge. We still have no bloody idea what he was doing. Not me, as I'm a cook. But a bartender I worked with and was good friends with overheard a regular that was a businessman who traveled to China, often bragging about getting underage hookers while there. Made sure to tell everyone who knew him about it. I once heard a guy talking to his buddy about how he likes to have sex with both a female and male at the same time and likes to lick up the after effects of the male orgasm off of her. Everyone's got their preferences, but that was not something I expected to hear. I like how you say it all classy and not simply lick up the jizz. Walking by a large party, I caught the tail end of this story. So it's me and Java Hair in the backseat doing lines off this bitch's ass. I overheard a guy telling his friend that he was going to have sex with that bartender, pointing to me. He proceeded to say, she might not be there, but I am still going to have sex with her. Edit 1. Holy bucket skies. Thanks for the gold. Edit 2. And no. Edit 3. For those of you who don't get it. He was saying he's going to party with the Palm Sisters. Close his eyes. And think of me. Are you telling me that I don't have to yell my order to bartenders in loud places? I'm telling you, when I'm 2 feet away I can hear you telling your friend about that burning sensation you've been having downstairs. I had 2 people discussing if gimp suits were SI or not. The minute I cleared my throat in mid-sentence they switched to talking about the whiskey they were drinking. What happens a lot while working in bars is that you overhear small snippets of conversation that sound really weird taken out of context. Stuff like, the best way to steal eggs is to pretend that they are something else. The dogs wouldn't stand a chance against Bruce Springsteen in his prime. I don't know if she can swim, but she bought sandals in the 90s. I usually entertain myself making up stories about these conversations. Edit. Holy FCK. This blew up. Went to sleep and woke up to this. Popped my gold cherry while sleeping. You sneaky bastards. Thanks tons. My favorite of those is a woman exclaiming to her boyfriend. Clearly agitated. I don't know. I've never bought that much dill before. To this day I still occasionally wonder how much dill we were talking about exactly. And what unforeseen problems could be connected to it. Some people would use a time machine to go back and kill Hitler. Something similarly noble. I'd go back to that bar and ask her what the ever-living FCK they were talking about. A girl was telling her friend that she likes the curve of her boyfriend's penis and when he does her from behind and grabs her boobs. It's the best thing ever. There were 2 of maybe 5 people in the whole bar and she got quiet when I re-entered the bar from the kitchen. I heard every word and it was only more awkward for me that she began talking quietly instead of waiting to have the conversation when there weren't people to hear it. I guess it isn't actually the strangest, but it was the most awkward. I was sniffing on my sister-in-law's panties while f***ing my girlfriend. I, 25F, recently had a bar guest on her, 33F, first Tinder date, recently divorced, show up extra nervous. She ordered a drink and we chit-chatted for a bit. After a while her date showed up. He ordered a coffee and ended up telling his date that he was only 18. She immediately cringed and told him that he seemed very sweet but he should be honest on his profile from now on, where he said he was somewhere around 30. He then started just insulting her age from then on out. Asking things like I bet you remember the Clinton administration and other stupid shit I can't remember. LMAO. That poor lady. She sent him home and I got off shortly after. Then we got hammered. A lady. Her weird boyfriend. And the girl's sister at my bar. When the girl went to the bathroom, her sister scooted in towards him and was saying they should get out of there before her sister gets out of the bathroom and go get a motel. So you're saying he did not have an alibi? I work in a hotel bar. There's a couple that comes in every Monday. The kicker is that they're not married to each other. The woman got drunk and asked the guy if he thought about her when he FK'd his wife. Back when you kept a newspaper on the bar. Guy walks in and goes straight for the paper. Looks in one section then the other. Places paper down. I asked him if he found what he was looking for. And he said no. His ex isn't dead or in jail. Then he asked for a beer. I think you were living in a cold open from Cheers. Not super hilarious but this one woman, probably late 30s, was basically screaming about an elf for probably 20 straight minutes. I once stood by and watched a man have his final moments with his childhood dog over FaceTime in a hotel bar. Apparently the vets were at his house and were putting him down. He seemed to have no idea it was coming and was crying a lot. But generally doing well to keep it together over in the corner of the bar. I walked over, placed a beer and a coffee next to him in silence, and went back to work. About 20 minutes later he wiped away his tears, gave me a choked back smile, and left. To this day I genuinely think that man had the worst moment of his life and still wiped it away all just to give that classic bit of British courtesy. The old smile and nod. I've heard discussions on if my boobs were real. Listened to a couple in an open marriage and apparently BS will scout out the picking for the evening. Listened to tons of people telling their so that they were working late. One guy even met a date later. Listened to a couple have a very intense whispered argument about custody. I assumed a kid. Turned out to be a cat. Listened to a couple guys plan how to rob me. Bartending was fun, I miss it sometimes. There'll be handcuffs, bagels and streamers. I haven't heard anything truly weird. But I did overhear a fellow barman saying to a woman who'd been giving the eye for a while that he thought I already had a girlfriend. The interested lady immediately looked disappointed and turned away to rejoin her friends. The prick knew I was single at the time. He was just cock blocking me. This lady was cute. A nurse in palliative care. And we'd spoken a couple of times earlier that night. Even all these years later the idea that some chump just shut me down for no reason at all pisses me off. I kept my eye open for that chick further down the line but never saw her again. Tallish brunette palliative care nurse. I hope you're still out there. Looking and being awesome. Well, I'm not a bartender. But I once went to a very loud Cuban dance party in a church, if it matters, and was trying poorly to chat with a lovely young lady and she was scream talking to her friend when the music suddenly stopped at the end of the song and in that half second of silence she hollered out, "I don't care, I just want to get laid." Full stop. I thought that was a good sign, since she was clearly talking about me, which was unusual. Made it back to her place and she showed me her angel sticks. Dorky things you pull out and they have a word that describes you. I got forgiving. And she concentrated really hard, then pulled out efficient and burst into tears and locked herself in the bathroom. I let myself out. Guy and girl come in. She says she got him a birthday present. It was a remote control for a vibrator she had somehow attached to herself. They didn't know I heard the conversation. They keep telling me, and everyone who came to the bar, to press the button. I just played along like I didn't know what they were doing. It was fun to watch the whole thing play out. I was intrigued so I brought the idea home to my girlfriend of 2 years. No go. Damn. That's the kind of thing you suggest during the 6-month honeymoon stage of your relationship. After that, forget about it. Silver. Thank you, anonymous redditor, sincerely.